Hey guys, and welcome back to another video as I go through all of the BBL teams previews for the 24-25 season. And I think this one will be one of the more watched ones across YouTube and Spotify just because of their massive relevance as well as fresh injury concerns. They only have 15 players currently at the moment, and discussing with some other content creators or just prominent people within the cricket space for this BBL SuperCoach, there is an expectation that they probably will look to grab maybe an all-rounder from the domestic scene in Melbourne or something like that, just because they currently have to play 5 out-and-out bowlers and have someone like Tom Rogers or someone like that bat like 6 or 7 just to get it out there. Because currently at the moment with Sutherland not bowling at the moment with an injury again, and he hasn't really bowled consistently for 24 months in the BBL, it looks as if if he's just a batter or only bowling an over or 2, that he will probably bat 6, and then they'll have like Tom Rogers bat 7, and they'll have to bring in a Sandhu or something like that, just looking off my team sheet. And this is why doing actually predicted 11s with the whole squad there and the reserves makes it really easy to find these sort of spot and holes. So I wouldn't be surprised if, I think it was Koothrappali or something like that, that subcontinent spinner that from domestic Melbourne that they did sort of bring in a couple of years ago, has played for I think both Melbourne sides. They could do something like that again, which could beef up that all-rounder spot with Sutherland and Bethel being out for round 1 or not bowling at their greatest or their 4 over maximum there. So anyway, let's jump into this video here and go through. As you see here, for those on YouTube, watching on YouTube, I have it filtered for the Melbourne Renegades players on the players page on BBL SuperCoach. Now, Tim Seifert, a guy that I think a lot of people will go for, and I think rightfully so. He's an absolute stunning player to watch. One of my favourite New Zealanders to probably watch outside of like a Glenn Phillips, because he's just a gun, Seifert. So break even of 101 with the double. I'm just worried that, and this happens every single time with the wicketkeeper. We had it with De Kock last year for Melbourne Renegades, and he was priced around this 150k ranges. You get suckered into having them, and the problem for me is I don't really like that he's priced at 152, but becomes almost as a wicketkeeper batter, and becomes almost a massive trade out just straight away, just because you need to go straight to like a Hurst or a Philippi or someone like that, etc., etc. So I'm more tempted to just say nope. I just don't want Seifert, and just go with like a Sammy Harper, because Sammy Harper has a massive chance to. Yes, there is a chance that I burn like 80 points off Sammy Harper if Sammy Harper fails and Seifert goes and scores 103, his break even, etc., or his projection. But there's also a massive chance that Seifert goes and scores 60, and even Sam Harper scores 60. Say that, they both do that, then for every, then Sam Harper's going to make, probably 20k? No, not 20k, sorry, like 8 to 10k. Tim Seifert's going to lose about 8k, and you've made a 16k gap, whilst also probably creating cash generating opportunities elsewhere, such as potentially having like I was explaining in the Hobart preview, having a Riley Meredith now stuck on your bench rather than like a Jordan Buckingham or something, etc. like that. So you have that instead, and you just set up more for the future in that way, and you've just made more cash gen for the same thing. Plus also you've got a really good cash generating player in Sam Harper. So that's why I'm sort of leaning against going for Seifert, just because I feel like there's more chance than not that he doesn't hit that break even and he loses cash. But he's also one that could take it away from me in the first round or 2. Laurie Evans, another guy. I think this one probably has more standing value than Seifert, to be honest with you. Just because we've seen him do it in Australia in the past. 46 and then 34 in 2021. So probably still a guy that I wouldn't go for because he's a batter only, and I sort of stick to the policy of no batter onlys. Except for the wicket-keeping line, obviously, because they have to be a wicket-keeper, but I generally go cheaper on the wicket-keeper. I don't like to spend more than like 130 or so K for wicket-keepers, as you would have seen in the past with like starting Philippi like every single year. Seifert, Laurie Evans. Then we get down to Will Sutherland, and this guy's a massive watch. Massive watch, because him and his fitness makes up what the Renegade do. For for round one, the round one double, the Renegades their team lineup is reliant on what Will Sutherland does, and he impacts probably Mackenzie Harvey, Gurinder Sandhu, or potentially a local talent. He potentially impacts like 4 other players, and the whole bowling lineup getting more overs, depending on if he's going to play as a batter or a bowler. If he's going to play as a bowler, is it for 4 overs or just 2? Depending on that sort of issue there, that will wreak havoc across the whole sort of bottom 6 for the Renegades in terms of sort of scoreability, I would say. Fraser McGurk, I just think his batting technique is out of whack at the moment. Yes, he probably will score runs just because it's a T20, but I think if they bowl that hard length outside off stump, I just don't see him scoring too many runs, because he generally will just hit it over in the air, massively in the air, and I think teams will be looking at this ODI series against Pakistan and realising where the faults lie with Fraser McGurk at the moment. I just don't think his feet are moving, and it's as simple as that. When your feet aren't moving, you tend to just lead with your hands and get out in front of the ball, and he tends to nick off, and you can see that from the side-on shots that they've shown of him. So I just don't think he's in good form at the moment, but we've shown previously batters have done that generally, where they just need one knock. They just need one knock, so he could get that one knock before the BBL, but I'm just one that, with him being a batter only and out of form, yes, he can be so destructive, but I just think there's value elsewhere. Bethel, not playing round 1, I don't believe, so yeah, can't use him. So yeah, it is what it is with him. But definitely comes onto the watch list for the round 3 double game week. If we just go here quickly, get out of that. BBL schedule is what I'm looking for. You'll see Renegades round 1 double against the Sixers and the Hurricanes. Then they have the Scorchers, then the Bye, then the Thunder Strikers. So Thunder Strikers in round 4 for the Renegades. That is when I would look at Bethel. But then you're probably going to have him straight off of the team sheet. Just looking, does this still have it? No. So I can go to bookmarks here. And then go straight back down to the ever reliable one here. And we see Bethel is currently listed to be leaving. Is he leaving at some point? After BBL commitments, he's leaving for the South African Premier League. So that could also be interesting, whether or not he leaves straight after in round 5 or round 6, etc. But yes, he is a watch for their double, just because he's probably still going to be priced around that 130k range, and that is such a good value range. That's like an 80 break even for the whole double. So that is why he's so valuable. If I go back now to this, Tom Rogers, a guy that like the Insight Fantasy was talking about, I think on their preview yesterday. So much value here at points in the season. You can see 56, etc., etc. So he's had 2 good years previously, in 21, 22, and 22, 23, where he was just swinging the ball with the new rock and picking up poles. If we look at this, 21, 22, you can see he took 18 wickets, and then the year after that, he took 21 wickets and added also 40 with the bat, and then the year before that added 50 with the bat with some strike rate bonus. Economy rate bonus as well up there for both years as well, which definitely does help. And he did get 4 runouts. How in the world did he get 4 runouts? Which would have helped his average as well. That's a 10th of his points there. So maybe that is a little bit outlandish that he got 4 runouts. You can't really predict for that, but 4 runouts, that would help him, given that when was it? That was his 23 campaign, yeah. In 14 games, that's an average of, that's about 5 points per game from runouts that we don't really expect him to get. So that he's probably a 54 guy, in all honesty. 54 to 56 sort of guy at his peak. And he's priced at about 40. So, yeah, he's kind of that guy that I think could do really well. If Will Sutherland is also out, if we just quickly go back to this as well, you'll see Rogers probably goes up the order again if they just bring in a straight another like Sandhu. Sandhu probably comes in, I would suspect, probably after Richardson, to be honest with you. So that means that Rogers and O'Neill go up. Rogers probably gets himself into a pretty good situation there. 7 and opening the bowling. I would suspect him and O'Neill will probably open the bowling. So that's a decent scenario there. But it's one that I'm probably just going to watch his percentage owned, to be honest with you, and just jump on whoever out of him and O'Neill are the highest owned. Is probably what I'll do, unless it's so close that I could save the 10k from going O'Neill. O'Neill, he did really well. If we look back at the game that was yesterday, going to completed, he did really, really well. That would have been massive fancy points, SuperCoach points there. If we go to here, I know it's not really what it is, but that would have been a 35 with the bat. Plus also with the ball, he bowled 5 overs, slightly more, but 3 wickets. That would have been 70, 90 dot balls plus the economy rate bonus. That would have been massive, and I know it was a 23 over game, so slightly more than a T20. But say he bowled 4 overs, let's downscale this. 4 overs, say 2 for 12 or something, or 2 for 16 even. Let's just do that. 2 for is 40. Say he had 15 dot balls. That's a 55 plus also a 16. An economy rate of 4 is going to be max bonus points there. So that's 25 there. So 25, 40 plus 2 wickets. That's 80. Did he take anything in the field? He didn't. So that's 80 points plus also the 35 here. So that's a 115 just with him against WA, which is this was a pretty strong side, in all honesty, and he ripped through Fanning, Short, and Bancroft to start, and he also contributed with the bat. So that's why I do really think that his value, he's priced at, if we go here, Fergus O'Neill, if we just go up, he's priced at 36. Like, he would have just off the back of that one performance gone up about 10k or so, 10, 15k. And then he'd have the other double game week to the other game of the round to do even more damage. So that's why I just think he is going to be underpriced this year. Kane Richardson, same sort of theory, that he's just really unders. 65 break even, so that is a price at like 32. You just probably need to cover him off, as simple as that. You need him and Zampa to probably cover them off. Sandhu, 94k, I just think with Bethel coming back and also the uncertainty around Sutherland, you probably can't start him, as he's been really poor the last couple of years. If we look back at 22-23, he averaged 45 that year. The year before that, 51. So I just think he's probably dropped down another bowler or two in the lineup or depth chart, and that's probably meant him not being as valuable. Zampa, I think this guy is value here at this point. Priced at 27 this year. Last year, the year before that, he averaged 42. Year before that, 36. Year before that, 54. And the year before that, 64. And the year before that, 49. And the year before that, 47. So you can see, other than this 22-23 campaign, and also 23-24, he's been, 21-22, and 23-24, he's been a 42, like a plus 15 at least on his average. So I just think that that's so much value. I think also you would notice, and I think Insight did a really good job of pointing this out, is that he was also really tired going into the last couple of campaigns, to the point that he had to rest some games, whereas he hasn't really had that much of a demanding, not domestic, but international schedule leading up to it. So he should be really, really primed to have a good tournament. And priced at 80, much like I was saying with Dooley and Meredith in the Hobart preview, I should say. He's just going to be one that can just sort of sit there as well in the non-doubles because he's so cheap. You don't need having that much. You're not going to have that much cash on the bench with him being there, to be honest. And he's a guy that will be useful in the first 4 rounds and can also be useful as a loop option, being that cheap in round 4 if you needed it as well. You don't have to create the loop through Doran. You can create the loop through other guys like that, Zampa being on the bye. Wells, he probably gets games, but just not valuable, to be honest with you. We've seen in the past when he was at his average 20s, did average 40 for that 1 year in 21, but most outside of that. He has a couple of pop years, but I just don't think there's value. As a batter only, batting 5, I would sort of expect. Mackenzie Harvey, probably batting 5 or 6, much like Wells, I think. Or do I have him batting 4? I might have Wells batting 4 or something. I don't remember exactly, but we'll get to it in a second. I just don't know if he necessarily gets games, given what we've discovered with the bowling lineup for the Renegades, that their top 5 don't have any bowlers in it. Meaning that if Sutherland isn't playing or is restricted overs-wise, Mackenzie's probably the first guy to drop. And then have Nathan Lyon, Harry Dixon, and also is there anyone else below that? I don't think so, because we said that they had 4 reserves, which would be 11 plus 4 is 15. Now we go over to the SuperCoach. sort of Google Sheets, and you'll see here, this is what I have for them. I have Fraser McGurk and Brown opening the batting. Sounds about right what they're doing, and I can get rid of this, don't need that anymore. So those two, that's pretty stock standard. Seifert batting 3 is what pretty much everyone has, and then Evans batting 4, etc. This is the top 4. I'm pretty sure those two are going to be opening the batting, given that they open the batting regularly, or at least Brown will. Fraser McGurk might bat 3 instead of Seifert, etc. That might happen, but I think that's pretty set in stone, their top 4, and it won't change when Bethel comes back. Harvey I have a batting 5, Wells batting 6, and I suspect that Wells will bat 5 and Bethel 6 when Bethel returns. But also I think also Harvey could be an unlucky guy that might drop out of it if they do need another bowler because of Sutherland, but that is just a watch. We've got time until the BBL starts, so Sutherland could get back to full fitness by then. So then you have that. Sutherland batting 7 as probably at the moment, if he was batting, it would be batter only, but we obviously want him to be bowling so that we don't lose Mackenzie Harvey potentially. Rogers, O'Neill as well, but these two, as we talked about earlier, could bump up if Sutherland is out and they need Sandhu there. That could help. Also, but it still helps them probably a little bit if they need Sandhu from Harvey instead of a Sutherland, if Sutherland is bowling 2 or 3 overs. So it still would help them as they bump up one spot in the order. And then you have Richardson and Zampa. Zampa probably bats 11 no matter what, even though he's been in decent form for Australia with the bat, averaging like 15 or whatever. Sandhu, Lyon, Dixon and Bethel all on the reserve bench for round 1. Bethel obviously comes in probably for, I would suspect, Harvey, and Wells might bat 5. Bethel might bat 5. One of them's going to bat 5, one of them's going to bat 6. Simple as that. And then, yeah, pretty much I don't expect Dixon to play unless something drastic happens. Lyon won't play until, January? Like round 8 or something. I don't know what exactly it was, but let me bring this up. When does the Australia games finish? They finish round 5, so probably won't back up until round 6 probably. And by then, yeah, the Renegades lose relevance. So don't think Lyon will be that important. And then Sandhu as well. Probably comes in if is probably the guy to come in if Sutherland can't bowl or bowl out his overs, etc. And so that's where I come into a fact that I think that they'll grab another batter bowler or probably a batting all-rounder is what they need. Just their lack of all-rounders is really telling in this lineup. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do that, drop Harvey for a domestic all-rounder like I've been saying countless times. And that's how they get their strength in their batting bowling lineup beefed up just a little bit more. Rather than having specialist batters and specialist bowlers throughout the lineup other than Sutherland. I think you need 2 all-rounders almost in the BBL at this point. And a lot of teams, like you see it with the, let's just go to the strikers for instance, they have one here and then also one there. So that's where they get their 2 all-rounders. The Heat get it through Walter and Nessa being genuine all-rounders, as well as Renshaw can bowl as well, but he's not scheduled there. But then you have guys like Chowdhury and Jordan are genuine all-rounders. Tim David can also bowl, so that's where they get their sort of spark overs from. Whereas if you look at the Renegades, their best non-bowler, so their best batter that can bowl, their best bowler out of their batter unit is probably Wells, which he's bowled before, but really? Like, you've got Mackenzie Harvey, haven't seen him bowl. Laurie Evans, I think, has kept before. I think Brown is bowled in the domestic scene, which would be quite funny if he did have to bowl. But, like, we're talking about Brown or Wells as their genuine 6th bowler. That's why I think they need to find an extra bowler if Sutherland is out, because you don't want Wells having to bowl overs each game, 2 overs each game. So that's what I mean about that. But anyway, that is the video there. I think I've done a detailed preview of the Renegades and their problems, especially in that 5, 6, 7 region of the batting order, and their bowling problems, not having enough depth there. So anyway, if you did enjoy watching that on YouTube, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload in the future. And then if you're watching or listening, I should say, on Spotify, remember to give me a follow so that you know when I upload there. But anyway, I'll see you guys in the next recap, which will be, I believe, the Stars, probably another one of those most watched ones, just because the Stars are really relevant in rounds 1 and 3, I think they have the double in. So yeah, they are really relevant to start the year, and then they basically become irrelevant other than Maxwell and Curran, pretty much. Other than that, they become irrelevant after round 3. But I'll see you guys in that recap, or preview, sorry, I should say, soon. So I'll see you guys then. Bye, guys.